Right, well-known industry person, Sean Buckley,
Okay, I got
is up on stage.
proud member of the no sport coat anymore.
Excellent. I did not get the memo, sadly. And you've got the trainers too. So we're talking about CTVs and the new programmatic ecosystem. Give us a sense of where the ecosystem is today. What's really changed in the last couple of years, apart from massive growth?
Yeah, well, I mean, there's been this proliferation of new, particularly ad-supported streaming services in the market. I mean, it's been a huge tailwind in addition to the general move toward programmatic. And on the heels of that, you've seen, you've seen tremendous growth. It's been unbelievable. So we've been in a really exciting space. It's not only just the raw number, though, it's the types of services that are being offered to consumers. You know, it's really exploded. And you've seen the growth not only in that, but yeah, I mean, the programmatic ecosystem, it's the place to be in CTV.
And other than growth, and it's clearly grown in a tremendous and exciting way, and Magnite and others are really seeing that. What else has really changed? Or is this just about a maturation of things that existed 3 years ago, but now we're scaling up?
I think you have to look at the individual cohorts. I think, we break it out into like 4 key categories. And look, the lines blur at times. We have to have a perspective on how we look at the market. But you have the digital-first streaming services. These are folks like the fast apps, right? And there's been tremendous growth in that space. Some of them have hit really serious scale. And there's also been a lot of M&A in that space. You've seen the traditional media companies move in, and you've seen deals like Viacom Pluto, you've seen Fox Tubi, and so that's been an exciting area of the market, for sure. You've got the virtual MVPDs, bringing that multi-channel linear experience into the streaming ecosystem. And as consumers are onboarded into watching their content via streaming, you can see that live events, particularly sports, are still really important to a lot of people. I cut the cord a few years ago. I immediately needed my Sling subscription, right? Like that was a must-have. You've got the device manufacturers. That's been arguably one of the most exciting areas. The Rokus, Samsungs, LGs, Vizios of the world have become more important not only for the advertising business, but also for consumers. Really big deal. And really dynamic business models there. You're seeing inventory share in return for distribution on their platforms. You're seeing them bring their own direct-to-consumer fast apps to the market. And the ability to layer on really powerful first-party data assets across that inventory footprint. You've also got the connectivity with the consumer, moving from auxiliary hardware, sticks and boxes, to accessing content directly through the smart TV. So that's a really interesting shift in behavior that we're seeing. So that's just a little bit of an overview of how we've sort of segmented the market. And you can't forget the bellwether programmers and broadcast names that everybody's familiar with from the traditional TV ecosystem. From a programmatic standpoint, in terms of a percentage of inventory monetized programmatically, a little smaller historically compared to the other cohorts for a variety of reasons, but particularly this year, we're seeing a big uptick. The upfronts moving toward programmatic execution, particularly like programmatic guaranteed business models. And so we're seeing a lot of growth there now as well.
Just briefly, you touched upon it there. When you think about these different categories of service, what really differentiates them from a programmatic point of view? You mentioned a few things, but just go into that in a bit more detail.
Yeah, I mean, CTV is a very unique medium. It's really different from what we encounter in a lot of other areas of digital media. You're dealing with podded ad delivery, typically on the big screen. That introduces a lot of complexity and sensitivity, number one. There's just a very low margin for error, very little wiggle room. If something goes slightly wrong, it becomes very disruptive to the consumer experience. So there's that, first and foremost. Also, commercially speaking, it's a very deal-driven, private transaction type of business. There are applications for the open marketplace, but the vast majority of our customers want to know who is buying what inventory, at what prices, at what volume, and that sort of lends itself to more of that deal-driven. So based on that, what we're hearing from the market is, I want a very small set of strategic partners that I can go deep with in our neck of the woods, and maybe even one partner that can provide the plumbing to do that. We don't hear customers saying, I want to put my inventory everywhere across 6 exchanges, and just anybody who can bid, can bid on it, who wants to bid. That's not what we see in this ecosystem. So I think it's important to take that into account.
So you mentioned the publishers you work with and their desire to really go deep with 1, maybe 2 partners. What really differentiates the different supply-side partners, the DSPs that are out there? How do you think about what you do versus the Trade Desk or Programmatic as being different from one another?
Well, what we hear from customers is we want a scaled, well-resourced partner that can really help us navigate this rapidly changing ecosystem and also help us enhance the capabilities that we can provide to our buy-side partners. I mean, that's a huge deal. We hear a lot from both the sell side and the buy side that independence, and what I mean by that is we don't pose a direct conflict to their core business, is also a really important piece of the puzzle. And so that's typically what we hear from the market in terms of what customers are looking for in this space. And I think all of those are really important.
And I think there's going to be a common theme throughout today, yesterday, tomorrow: scale, scale, scale. Is that one of the critical differentiators you see?
Yeah, I think there's, from a technology company perspective, I think there's a very high bar of sophistication that's required to do this well. And that requires a lot of resources and in my view, a certain level of scale in order to be able to support businesses of this size, for sure.
So obviously the CTV ecosystem, a programmatic ecosystem, is one part of a much larger TV market. We've got traditional linear buys, set-top box, VOD, all sorts of things on televisions. How do you see what you do within the CTV space complementing that wider TV ad market? How does it fit into a typical media plan?
Yeah, well, we've found applications for programmatic technology in what we can call the traditional TV ecosystem. So we've been working around set-top box video on demand for some time, really focused on activating additional endpoints, building the set-top box footprint where we can activate our capabilities on behalf of our clients. And they can monetize that through the similar workflow, just like we're working with them in connected TV. So that was kind of like an initial pathway. And then more recently, we've gotten involved on making linear addressable available programmatically. We did an announcement with the very forward-thinking and innovative team at AMC Networks, and in conjunction with the Vizio Smart TV footprint, doing glass-level replacement. And look, that's a very exciting development that has a lot of potential. I will say the programmers in general who we're talking to are taking a very measured approach in that neck of the woods. They're working with a specific set of advertisers. They're sort of focused on specific pockets of inventory where that makes sense. But it's a huge opportunity nonetheless.
And there's a lot of use of programmatic guaranteed versus more biddable models. Is that what you're seeing? If you're a major media owner and you want to start exploiting and taking advantage of this ecosystem, is programmatic guaranteed the way to go?
We're seeing really meaningful growth now in programmatic guaranteed as a transaction model. Last month, programmatic guaranteed represented north of 20% of all CTV transactions globally in our business. So we're reaching pretty meaningful scale in that regard. I think as an industry, we're at a fundamental stage of programmatic guaranteed, like we're at level 1. What we're really focused on is helping the industry realize the true potential of that transaction model. And we're doing this in a variety of ways. One example is activating first-party data from the supply side, but also from the buy side, and the combination of the two, to preemptively refine inventory as it leaves the supply side, heads to the buy side, so that it's already filtered or refined down to exactly what the buyers are looking for when they receive it. That allows you to get to that one-to-one relationship between ad opportunities that buyers are receiving and impressions that are subsequently being delivered. And I think that, paired with the attractiveness of guaranteed delivery, is really powerful. And so I think that's why you're seeing it grow in terms of popularity.
And another thing that's just worth touching upon, I think, before we sadly have to pause, growth. So the ecosystem can bring new advertisers into the TV ad market. And for everyone here, the works in an inventory-owning business. That has to be really exciting. Tell us a bit about what you're seeing in terms of new companies coming into TV via this ecosystem.
Yeah, there's a lot of focus on the linear dollars moving into streaming, and rightfully so. It's a huge opportunity. We're very focused there. I think there's also a huge opportunity among advertisers where television was not historically economical. And I think to some extent that gets a little bit overshadowed or doesn't get enough attention. We are really focused on that as well and think it's a huge opportunity. Advertisers looking for really niche audiences, perhaps money moving out of the social sphere. And yeah, that's something where I think CTV as a medium can be a really great fit.
And just briefly, why? What is it specifically that those new advertisers are looking for that they can't get anywhere else?
It's the targetability, right? It's the capability to really refine your audience. In CTV, that at least on a national television basis was really not a fit. So yeah, I think that could be a huge tailwind for the space that's maybe a little bit underappreciated by the market right now.
So setting up Ashley, who's going to take the panel away, on a scale of 1 to 10 in terms of excitement, where 1 is super dull and 10 is mind-blowingly exciting, you're scoring this a 9.5.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
Wonderful.
Yeah.
Sean, thank you for setting the scene.